Tonight, there is nowhere you need to hurry. Let the room around you become quiet and imagine a road in old Edo after the shops have closed their wooden shutters. The city is large, but at this hour, it feels made from small things. A paper lantern beside a doorway, the soft line of a roof, and the dark ribbon of a canal beyond the houses. Your breathing may settle into its own easy rhythm. There is no task to finish here. You are only visiting a city that has already completed its work for the day. Far above the sleeping streets stands a wooden bell pavilion. Beneath its roof hangs a bronze bell, still and heavy, waiting in the cool night air. Beside it sits a man named Seiji. He is a fictional keeper, but his work follows the real rhythm of the hour bells that once carried time across Edo. For now, he simply waits. You may wait with him as the lantern light rests on the floorboards and the whole city grows softer at the edges. The pavilion is open on every side. Thick wooden pillars hold the tiled roof, and the bell is suspended from a beam so that its lower rim hangs free above the floor. A long wooden striker rests beside it, supported by ropes. When the hour arrives, Seiji will draw the striker back and let its padded end meet the bronze. He has performed this duty many times. He knows the worn place on the rope, the quiet creak of the beam, and the exact point where the bell answers with its clearest voice. Near one pillar stands a small lantern. Its flame does not brighten the whole pavilion. It only makes a warm island around Seiji's hands and the folded cloth at his knees. Below, roofs extend toward the river. Somewhere in the darkness, a night watchman walks with wooden clappers. Somewhere else, a boat settles against a landing stage. None of these sounds ask for attention. They pass through the night and become part of it, just as your breath passes gently in and out. Time in Edo did not move through 24 equal hours as it does today. Daylight and darkness were each divided into 6 periods called toki. Because summer days were long and winter days were short, the length of a daytime period changed with the season. The nighttime periods changed as well. An hour of winter darkness could therefore feel longer than an hour beneath a summer sky. Time followed sunrise and sunset instead of demanding that nature follow a clock. Most people did not own a timepiece. Mechanical Japanese clocks existed, but they were complex and costly. For townspeople, time arrived through sound. Bells told merchants when to open, laborers when to pause, households when evening had deepened, and guards when another portion of the night had passed. Seiji does not think of minutes. He watches the night, tends a small incense timer, and listens for the distant bell that will come before his own. Edo had several time bells placed around the city. Historical accounts describe bells near enough to hear one another, allowing the signal to travel from district to district. Before the counted strokes, a bell could sound 3 preliminary strikes called sutegain. They warned the next keeper that the appointed moment had arrived. The system depended on listening. One bell called into the darkness, another answered, and the city received the hour as a slow chain of bronze voices. Seiji lifts his head. At first, There is only wind moving high in the cedar branches, too faint to disturb the ropes beside the bell. Then, from far across the roofs, a low tone reaches the pavilion. It is softened by distance, yet clear enough for someone who has spent years waiting for it. He does not rise immediately. He lets the sound complete its long descent into silence and waits for the next preliminary note. The second comes, then the third. Each one is unhurried. Between them lies enough quiet for the city to breathe. Seiji stands and places both hands on the rope of the wooden striker. His movement is careful because the bell is not struck with force alone. He draws the striker back. The supporting ropes tighten, the beam moves through a short arc, and then the wood meets the side of the bell. The first note begins as a deep vibration beneath the pavilion roof. It gathers into a round bronze tone and travels outward above the dark streets. Seiji waits until the sound has thinned. He has learned that silence is part of the ringing. Without the space between strokes, the notes would lose their shape. Again he draws the striker. Again the bell answers, calm and immense, as if the night itself has found a voice. There is no sudden alarm in the sound. It marks a shared moment for people who may never see the bell or know the keeper's name. When the final counted stroke has faded, Seiji steadies the striker until it is completely still. The ropes relax, and the bell returns to silence. The bell's voice moves beyond the pavilion. It passes over storehouses with plaster walls, rows of narrow homes, temple gates, bridges, gardens, and canals reflecting the moon. In a merchant house, someone turns beneath a quilt and returns to sleep. In a guardhouse, a watchman adds a small piece of charcoal to a brazier. At a riverside landing, a boatman hears the last vibration and pulls his coat closer. He knows roughly how much darkness remains before the first workboats appear. Farther away, another keeper has heard Seiji's signal. 3 warning strokes rise from that district, followed by the measured notes of another bell. The sounds are not perfectly simultaneous. They move across Edo in sequence, shaped by distance, weather, buildings, and the attentive ears of the keepers. For a little while, the city becomes a map made from sound. Each bell reveals a different point in the darkness, then slowly disappears. Seiji listens until he can no longer separate the final tone from the wind. Only then does he sit again beside the lantern. There will be another signal later, but not yet. The work of a bell keeper contains far more waiting than ringing. Seiji checks the lantern and shields its flame while he adjusts the wick. A faint trace of smoke rises, bends once, and vanishes near the roof. He examines the ropes without pulling them. Rain, heat, and winter cold can change their feel, and the keeper must notice small signs before they become problems. The bronze bell holds a little of the night's chill. Its surface bears characters and patterns cast long before Seiji first climbed the pavilion steps. Below, the city continues its quiet labor. Guards patrol against fire because closely built wooden neighborhoods require care even while most residents sleep. The keeper's task is also a kind of care. By keeping the signal in order, he helps thousands of unseen routines remain connected. He settles back onto the mat, Nothing needs to happen for a while, and the absence of action feels complete rather than empty. As the night passes, the eastern sky changes so slowly that no single moment can be called the beginning of dawn. The moon lowers toward the roofs. A few stars fade. The deepest blue above the city becomes a softer shade near the horizon. Seiji hears another series of distant warning strokes. He rises once more, draws back the striker, and sends the next hour across Edo. This ringing feels different only because the city around it has changed. A kitchen fire is being prepared somewhere. A gate hinge turns quietly in another street. The seasonal system allows the night to yield to day according to the sun. Its divisions stretch and contract, but dawn always arrives in its own time. When Seiji finishes, a bird calls from a garden below. It is only one note, followed by a silence that still belongs mostly to night. He closes his eyes for a moment and listens. The bell is motionless again, and the pavilion seems to float above the pale roofs. Soon, other sounds will gather beneath the tower. Sandals on the road, water poured into a basin, shutters sliding open, and vendors preparing for the day. The hour bell will become one sound among many. Yet through the night, it has carried an invisible structure across the city, one measured tone at a time. In the centuries after Seiji's imagined watch, Japan adopted a fixed modern clock. The old seasonal hours faded, and mechanical tower clocks gradually took over public timekeeping. But the surviving bells and records still remind us of a city that listened for time instead of looking for it on a screen or dial. You do not need to listen for the next bell. Seiji will remain at the pavilion, keeping the rope, the lantern, and the quiet intervals between the notes. Let the roofs of Edo drift farther away. Let the bronze tone become only a memory of warmth moving through the night. There is nowhere else to go in this story. The road is quiet, the bell is still, and the hour asks nothing from you. Rest now, while the first light reaches the edge of the city and the keeper waits peacefully above the waking streets.